The Book of Proverbs, verse 1. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. Okay, so, hi everybody, this is Christian RPG Gamers. I found I had this background footage. I was playing that game called Throne and Liberty, so I found that I had that on my phone still, so I'll try this one more time. I don't know how loud it'll be though. Okay. Okay. So I was thinking for today's video, I guess I was just gonna talk about the idea of what do you call it? I guess like romance and like entertainment. I don't know. I guess I'm like getting in touch with my like femininity this past like week. I think I made a video about like or basically like why having hot girls in games is a good thing. I mean, I think I made a video. I think I made one earlier today about like diversity. And I guess I don't know, getting in touch with my getting more in touch with like my feminine side or something here. So, I don't know. I don't know what my reason entirely is. Maybe I'm just bored. Maybe I'm just like more horny or something. I don't know what my reasoning is, but okay. I'll try to put some kind of a Christian perspective on this too. Okay. So I mean, like, I have talked about some of this stuff in the past, and I used to make some walkthroughs on the channel. I kind of just stopped doing that initially, but okay, let's see how I can. I'm not exactly sure where I even entirely want to start with this. I have a few ideas though. I guess one thing I'll say is like I do enjoy some ideas of romance, right? No, I am basically I'm just a straight man at the same time, right? So like, I don't want too much romance in my content, but I do enjoy a little bit every once in a while, as long as it's not like way over the top and excessive. But just a little bit every once in a while, I think is good. So some examples could be like okay, man, it's like the Legendary game. Man, I just cannot get away from it as much as I wish. Sometimes I just wish I could. So there's a video game called The Witcher 3. Honestly, it's becoming one of my favorite like fantasy games. Oh man, oh my gosh, I could just gush over that game. Right, that game is just so good. I know from a Christian point of view, it is kind of dark, but I also just love that game. So The Witcher 3 has a great example of some romance. So you have what's it called? A Geralt of Rivia. And there's Triss and there's Yennefer, and you can basically you can pursue, chase after, and you can romance either one of those characters. And I think that's a pretty great example of romance in series, because like I mean I know that you can like hook up with a different woman, or if you're a man, or if you're a woman, you could also hook up with a man, right? Now this is more from like a masculine point of view, but I mean, you can look at either point of view, right? Because there's a lot of games where you just kind of like, you have some dialogue, and you just kind of get a high disposition, you kind of just hook up with a girl, and like that's it, right? And then it's all done, it's all said and done. But in The Witcher 3, I think is a great example of romance between like, the main character, and you can kind of go mix, you can kind of go back and forth between two different girls. Obviously, that's a pretty sketchy thing. Really, you shouldn't try to hook up with two different girls at the same time. That's a pretty naughty thing to do, right? But you should be like a one-woman kind of guy. But it's not like you just hook up with I'm not like I don't know. My words are probably terrible. I'm probably terrible at how I'm trying to portray and speak it, right? Or what's the word? A new word I found, I figured out, it's called like articulate. I'm probably terrible at articulating what I'm trying to say, but it's like in Fallout 4, you can be like, you're like you're the main character, and you kind of like hook up with like Piper or something, and it's like there's not much scenes that for really back and forth. You just kind of become her friend. You have a high disposition, and like then it's just like you kind of just like you flip a switch and you're done, and it's all done, right? And then like you're kind of together and you get a little perk, and it's all good and done, right? It's not much there. It's not very deep. Not deep dialogue. you almost never really interact or talk about any of this stuff, right? It's not very intimate. There's not much there one way or the other. Like in The Witcher 3, there is some like pretty deep romance scenes. And I'm like, it does. I'm not saying it has to be like some like R-rated like what do you call it, like sex scenes, right? And I'm not saying like that. That's something I'm gonna support heavily. No, if you're an adult, it is what it is, right? But like, I mean, like even just a level of some, just like any kind of an intimate conversation, or even making it believable. It doesn't have to be like super like perverse or naughty. It's just like you can just even be like having conversations, or like even like the idea of like going on like a date with like a different member of the opposite sex, or having these conversations, or really like interacting with a different person throughout the story, or really anything. Like The Witcher 3 does a good job. Where like you have like Geralt and Yennefer, and you also have like Geralt and Triss. You can go choose one of those two routes. Now I pretty much always do Yennefer, but I honestly don't even know Triss's route, to be honest. Like I literally haven't done it. It's probably terrible, but I should at some point. But I really only know Yennefer's route. But like you can it's just cool that it's like it's not just like like a one-dimensional like 2-minute little thing and it's all done. It's like it could be hours worth of content. You can go on a side quest. You go on like a little date. You walk around and you interact with each other. You have these little like witty conversation remarks and statements. And I just think it's very cool how in depth and how built into the series it is. And like the same thing could be true with Cyberpunk. Like obviously the game is made by the same people, but Cyberpunk I felt like did a pretty good job. And like sometimes perception can be even more powerful than reality. Even just perceiving like it could be true. Like you could be, what's your name called? You're called V, and like you basically like get together with I think her name's called Panem, or Panem, and there is a pretty strong perception that you both kind of get together, and it's this big, huge, like massive ordeal that takes hours worth of time, and it's just part of the story. I think it's just really well made, and I think it's a cool thing at the end of the day. So like another example could be honestly like the Baldur's Gate 3. Like you can take a character with you as your companion. Now for me, it was personally when I played the game, like I played it with what's her face called? Called Shadowheart, I think her name was. Honestly speaking, I don't want to be offensive here. I'm not trying to make this controversial. I feel like she was really the only attractive-looking female in that series. Now, I mean, it could be it could be a little bit debatable, right? I'm sure I'll be proven wrong, but like all the other companions, all the other people out there, they just really weren't that. Did not find them to be that interesting, and there wasn't like a ton of female options either. I would think they would have done more, but they just didn't. There's only like 2 or 3 characters, and there was that orc lady. I would be more interested in doing her walkthrough with her. I don't know that much about her either, to be honest. There was her. There's Shadowheart, and there was like this big muscular like what do you call it? What's she, like a tiefling? I mean, she's almost more like a man than even like a person, like a female. I just was not interested in the different females that they offered in Baldur's Gate 3. But Shadowheart, to be real, she's like super good looking. So that is a huge net positive. And she's also a pretty nice person. And she has a pretty interesting story too. Yeah, like again, like also like they have full cutscenes of different characters and stories that you can go with. And like they go through all this big, huge, massive like romantic ordeal, and eventually you hook up with the girl at the end, right? And then they have like an epilogue and like their cutscenes with it. It could be like hours worth of like a romance. I think that's really good. And yeah, obviously there are some like the more naughty, like naked scenes or whatever. Now as a Christian, I mean some of that stuff can get kind of gray, but. It is what it is. Like if you're an adult, sometimes you gotta be a little more mature too. You don't have to be consumed with lust, but like it is what it is, right? Because that's what it is. Sometimes to be an adult, is to be an adult. But Oh, I couldn't tell how. Okay, I think this is 10 minutes long. Okay, I couldn't quite see what the time is. What is this? Oh, okay. This is about 10 minutes. I was like, did I just start recording now? No. Okay. So yeah, like Baldur's Gate 3 did a really good job, and I'm sure there's other games out there. And like again, okay, I don't mean to just keep going back to this game, right? Because I just talk about all the time. But The Witcher 3, you know, there's you, and then there's like there's a moment with Triss, and like I really like these kind of moments, but obviously this is highly subjective. So I was gonna talk. I think I was gonna talk about this in a different video, but I'll talk about it now. So like I mean I really like the idea stuff like you call these whew, okay. You have like they call like a masquerade balls where you put these like you get these fancy dresses or like you know very fine handsome suits, and you have these little masks you can put on to cover up like your eyes a little bit. And it's kind of like based off of some like old more traditional, like kind of like a wealthy, elegant, like maybe probably more like a European. And that doesn't have to be from Europe, but the Europeans, they used to have a lot of class. So I mean, I've never been to Europe myself, okay, but at least in like the history and the stories, right? And like they had like like king or queen, and they had like prince. And there's a bunch of stories. I think like the story of, I was playing this game called Cinders. And I mean, yes, I really like that game, Cinders. If you haven't played that game, you ought to at least consider it. It's a pretty great story, to be honest. I think it's called it's obviously from Cinderella, right? And like The Witcher 3, they have some Cinderella moments in it. And like Witcher 3 also mentions Cinderella at one point too. It's interesting just how like realistic Witcher 3 really is. But there's a moment like you and Triss, you dress up all fancy and you go out and you kind of go on this like little romantic date example. And I think it's part of her quest. But like I mean I really like those kind of stories, and I think I don't even know what the point entirely was, to be real with you, why that part of the story even exists. But I do love the fact that they would make it's like an hour-long quest. And it's like there's no real reason why it has to exist, but I also love that too. And I love that there's stuff like that in games where there's no reason why something needs to be there, but they just do it anyways. It's not like half the people aren't even gonna play it, right? But it's like an awesome quest. Oh, okay. And a lot of these romance quests, you do have to generally do the quest with the person of the opposite sex. So if there's a female companion, usually you have to complete her whole quest. And you get to have her, and obviously, okay, this is a little bit more gray, right? Obviously, women aren't like objects, but you you win her as like a prize in a sense. Obviously, you still have to convince her that you're willing. That she has to be willing to accept you, right? Because women aren't like your slave or something, right? They are a person, but you have to win them over, and you have to convince them to like you in a sense. And usually by the time, because obviously it's a video game, right? Now real life is a lot more complex, and there's a lot more emotions involved in real life. But in a video game, usually when you complete a quest, you get that person as your romantic partner, and then they give you the final cutscenes, and they partially engaged or put together. You're in your little relationship. Another game that was coming to mind is Dragon Age. The fourth game is coming out. To be real with somebody, I don't know what my opinion of that game. I think I'm just gonna wait till the game comes out. The Dragon Age 1 was legendary. I liked the second game. It had issues. The third game, so the second game was still pretty good. It had its problems. I think the story was a lot of the problems with Dragon Age 2. But it was a pretty interesting, it was a very unique world. And Dragon Age 3, I felt like the story was actually pretty good in Dragon Age 3. But it had a lot of problems too. it felt just over bloated and like nothing really mattered. In Dragon Age 4, I don't know what my opinion is. I don't know if I'm gonna like the game, but Dragon Age, Dragon Age 1 and 2 and 3, there was a lot of romances you could do. And I think also in Mass Effect, because they're both made by the same people at the end of the day. So like you can kind of like hook up with a girl. Usually you just kind of pick one of the female like companions or people, and you kind of just, you can pursue and chase after her most of the game, and you kind of get access to, basically you hook up with them. And, they do some like the naughty spicy stuff at the end of their little quest, or at some point during the main story. Like I know I've romanced, in Mass Effect. I mean, I think I've romanced Ashley. I can't remember in the second and third game who I probably hooked up with somebody. And like in Dragon Age, I know that I've hooked up with like Liliana at one point. Trying to think. Okay, so like the second game, I can't remember her name. I think it's like Miri or Miriana or something. I think she's like an elven girl. I cannot remember her name. I mean, I could look it up, but I mean, I don't want to like interrupt it right now. Or I think her name starts with like the letter M. Like the third game, I don't even remember. I I hooked up with I think that what's her face? I cannot remember. She's from like what do you call it? Kind of like from like the desert people. She's that I think she's like the diplomat or something. I mean, honestly, I thought she was like super hot, and I haven't played that game in forever. Kind of like a little bit more like the tan, brown-skinned girl. I thought she was super hot. I thought, but or at least the options I had available, right? But so I hooked up with her, and oh yeah, I think it was her name. Like on Mass Effect 2, there was like Miranda. I think that's her name. Like the third game, I honestly can't even remember. I can't even remember the story of the third game. I know the ending of the third game was pretty good. I just can't even remember the third game, to be real. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different characters and a whole bunch of different stories out there. And obviously there's a real life. I try not to talk about real life too much. I'm not gonna talk about my romance of like in the real life, but we'll just keep it like in game, right? But I'm sure people will be happy about that. But there is a lot of cool romance out there, and there's a lot of hot girls you can pursue if you're a man, or there's a lot of hot guys you could pursue if you're a girl. I mean, there's a lot of options out there, and it is fun. I do like the idea of like, a good like romantic scene. Oh yeah. I can't forget. I was gonna talk about like, Kingdom Come Deliverance, right? So I kind of wish they did more. I mean, like there has to be. I mean, there's a limit to it. In Kingdom Come Deliverance, like Henry can basically kind of hook up with like Teresa, and there's a couple small flings you can get involved with. I kind of wish you had more romance scenes to it, but you can kind of be with Teresa a little bit. But there was some good scenes and some good moments in that game. And like also a lot of the different Dungeons and Dragon games, you can kind of hook up with a girl. And there's also these text to play kind of games, or what they call it, text RPGs. So like there's like the Great Tournament. You can get together with like a couple different females, or I think I used to have some of these like walkthroughs on my channel. Now they're still on my Alt-Tech. They should still be somewhere on my Alt-Tech channels out there. You could probably still find these walkthroughs. They're probably not the best quality, but like they exist, right? Or just go play them yourself. That's actually your best choice. There's a lot of different romance, and I think it's just a wonderful thing. I think it's just great. It's a lot of fun, especially in like a fantasy world or a fictional world. Just kind of like chasing after or just pursuing a bunch of different romance. Okay, I don't know. I didn't really talk too much about the Christian perspective on this. How much time do I have on this? 19 minutes. Okay. In holiness, God in heaven, He created the human race, and He created a man, and He ultimately created a woman. And I think men and women, they both complement each other. And I also believe that God, when he created Earth and he created people, like, he does want human beings to enjoy them. He wants us to enjoy ourselves. Now, the Bible, it talks about many perspectives. Now, I'm just a stupid mortal, right? I'm just a man. I mean, honestly, I'm just a sinner. But I believe he did create human beings to enjoy ourselves. He wants us to enjoy ourselves in our life. He also wants us at times to deny ourselves, to deny our passions at times also too. So we should strive to follow him. But as humans, like, we were created to, to be able to experience like pleasure and enjoyment and satisfaction and emotions and feelings and thoughts. Also, in holiness, God created human beings, after himself. So we were designed to be like him. We are designed to look and talk and act like himself. So, I mean, I don't know the answer, because in holiness, I've never actually met God personally, as far as I know. I've never seen him. I never talked to him directly. There might be times where I believe I've seen his power at work. And as far as I know, well, maybe I have, but maybe I just didn't know any better. So I haven't actually seen God myself, right? I'm just a Christian man. But I believe he does exist. Now, I don't know what he looks like. I don't know. I just have no idea. But we were created, to look like him. However he looks, I'm sure he looks very, very good, by the way, too. I'm sure most of us are kind of ugly, but I'm sure he's regarded as extremely good looking. I mean, as far as I know. I think there's Bible verses that talk about, like, gaze upon the beauty of the Lord. Like, his appearance wouldn't even be deemed by, like, moral standards. I think people described him in, like, the Bible by using, like, precious gems, taking different colors of, like, precious, expensive, shiny gems, like that. You combine all these, like, into different pools together. His skin color, his face is, like, what do you call it? Exquisite. It's extremely. It's perfect. Okay. So that's the end of that video. I don't know. I might just go back and play it again. This shouldn't be too much longer, I don't think. But okay. So, like, a Christian point of view is that we were created to look like our Creator. We have the same capabilities as our Creator in a lot of ways too. Now, I don't know and understand this stuff 100%. I probably don't even understand 10%. But supposedly we were designed to be like our Creator. So things about ourselves are from God. Now, I know people can do good and people can do evil. In holiness, I believe God is good. I genuinely believe he's only good and he's not evil at all. But we do have moral choices. And, like, I believe God in heaven, like, he has a heart. Like, he can feel things. Therefore, we also can feel, right? And he can think. Therefore, we can think. And he has the idea of, like, a soul or some kind of a spirit or a being of... I mean, I don't even understand, right? But, like, things about yourself are qualities I believe God himself has, and that's why you have them, because he has them. Now, I don't know about the idea of romance when it comes to God, right? In holiness, because he's the creator. We're creation. So I don't know. I'm not gonna go deep into this issue. This is a super controversial topic. I'm not gonna talk about it too much. I'm not a minister or anything right now. A minister should probably consider talking about it, but I don't believe that God has a romantic inclinations, but we as human beings do. He created a man, which is a male initially. Then from a male he created a female. But I don't understand these things. I'm just a stupid mortal, right? But there is some Christian perspectives on, like, different ideas of passion. I believe that God created, he created man, he created women. I believe he created both the different genders or the different sexes, so we can, in a sense, enjoy each other. Enjoy each other's company. We can make more people. There's all sorts of great reasons. Like, men can enjoy different women's, like, women are very attractive. You have pretty looking hair and you have nice bodies and stuff. There's nothing wrong with a man enjoying those things about a woman. And, like, I think women also do enjoy a lot of that stuff too. And, like, women enjoy putting on all these fancy dresses and, being taken out places and stuff. And, like, both of us, we both enjoy romance quite a bit. Like, females love watching their I don't know, you got like with their Hallmark Channel movies and all that stuff. There's so much romance stuff. Like women love that stuff. So it's like to say that, you know, females don't enjoy all that stuff. I feel like they do also. You know, maybe for different reasons. But again, like I mean some of these are just my own personal takes, right? But it's a lot of fun. And I mean, like, obviously you got your RPG story, you got, you know, your adventure, you got your level ups, and you got all your loot, all your money. You know, it's like, you know, I'm probably like a little bit of like a loot goblin, like a loot whore. I mean, I love my stuff in games, right? Man, it's kind of bad. It's a little bit greedy at times, maybe, but I mean, I love my loot. But it's like, you know, also you got like, you know, you got your combat and you got your slaying your monsters, and you know, you go through all your quests and your checkpoints and all that stuff. Get the main story. I do think there's some romance in, like, you know, RPG games, or even if you're watching a movie or like a TV series. I think romance, it does offer a lot of value. And it's just an extra bit of fun. It's like some extra flavor or some extra enjoyment, maybe off to the side. I mean, it can be part of the main story sometimes too. And, like, you know, obviously a lot of these romance scenes, they're not 100% real, but they're kind of created so that people could at least perceive them as if they were real. And I do think it's a net positive, and I do enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit, as long as it's not overdone, as long as it's not like super cheesy. So we'll see what happens, right? In future content. Okay, so in the comment section below, let me know what your thoughts are on romance, and like, what are some of your favorite romances in content, and, you know, why do you enjoy romance? Or also again, like, you know, what's the best way of putting it? Like, again, like, if you're a man, why do you like romance? I guess, like, maybe specifically say it like next to your comment, right? Like, sometimes it's hard to tell. Or if you're a female, like, why do you like romance? Like, what are your reasons for it, right? Because obviously, I mean, I probably would struggle to understand as well as I should. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I'll probably never understand. But it's like, no, you know, most men will never understand, like, you know, a woman's feelings, but or even, like, you know, whatever my woman or whatever is in the real world, I'll never understand her or any other woman I will meet. I'll never understand them 100%. I'll be real with somebody, right? You know, it seems like all the women in my life are always just mad at me about something. So I don't know if I'm being real with somebody, but yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, or what you feel about this, and, you know, I appreciate you watching this. All right, thanks for watching. God is good.